Fantom is a consensus as a service platform for the next generation of distributed ledgers. So with me to explain exactly what that means, CEO Michael Kong, to tell us more about Fantom and what all you're doing there. And so give us a simple explanation of what Fantom is doing.
Well, Fantom is a layer one platform. So what that means is that we run like our own consensus engine, and it's basically a platform that allows you to perform smart contract execution. So the way that you deploy and you operate different kinds of applications, such as in decentralized finance or NFT related, gaming related, or metaverse related, these are all sorts of use cases that you can have on the Fantom platform. And what really differentiates us from other platforms is that it always stays online, it never goes offline, it processes transactions very, very fast because we have a unique technology where you can process multiple transactions around the same time and still build that blockchain ledger in the end. So that's really what the platform is.
That's what you do. So you basically build kind of the base, so to speak, and then if somebody wants to build on top of that some type of application, that's what you do, right?
Yeah, that's right. So we work at the foundation primarily on the underlying technology. So we work on building the technology that allows you to confirm transactions, process transactions in the most scalable and secure manner. So we don't build applications on top of the network, but we build the underlying technology that allows people to build applications on top of them.
Got it. And you mentioned it was fast. So how are you able to do that? And it's cheaply too, right? I understand. Okay, so how are you able to do that?
So it's quite a complicated process. That's what we spent probably a year and a half to 2 years working on. But essentially, we've found ways of a variety of different algorithms that allow you to basically process multiple transactions at the same time. So, for example, in contrast to say Bitcoin or Ethereum, you process one transaction or one block at a time. So you wait for the block to be created, you add transactions into it, and then you put it to the chain. And so it's very sequential.
I see.
And because it's sequential, you're doing it one at a time.
So it slows everything down.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas just intuitively, if you can process say 3 blocks at the same time, or 4 blocks, or 3 transactions, or 4 transactions rather than one, then on average your network throughput or your performance will be a lot higher, just because you can process things simultaneously rather than just one at a time.
Yeah, interesting. So tell me about technologies you're working on now.
So we're working on a variety of improvements to the network. So the actual bottleneck for us is not really the consensus. The consensus works really fast, and talking to our developers, we can probably increase the network throughput by a factor of maybe 4 or 5 compared to where it is right now. The issues are more related to other aspects of how you process a transaction. So for example, the amount of data going in and out of nodes in the network, and also in particular the way that smart contracts are executed on the platform itself. Because in order for you to execute a smart contract, you have to run a software layer, and that software layer that many other platforms use, especially Ethereum, is very inefficient. So we're working on replacing that technology with our own technology stack. We're working on solving a number of identified problems so we can really take full advantage of the consensus. And once that happens, the network throughput goes up a lot more while still maintaining fast confirmation times, as well as low fees, as well as people can experience on the platform.
Interesting. And you just recently onboarded a professor from the University of Sydney. So tell me about that individual and what do they bring to the company?
Yeah, so he used to be a supervisor of mine. So when I was at the University of Sydney, I spent a couple of years studying smart contracts, and in particular smart contract security. And so what we did there was really building software to analyze how smart contracts execute, and also in particular finding bugs in smart contracts. And so he was a supervisor of mine from the University of Sydney. He is a full professor there, specializing in programming languages. So figuring out how smart contracts are executed, how programs run, and security and performance around running a program. So he joined us recently, beginning of May, to be our full-time chief research officer. And so what he brings to Fantom is a wealth of very technical experience. He spent probably 20 years working in the field of programming languages. He's spent the past 5 years also studying how smart contracts work at a very technical level. So he will allow us to execute smart contracts, I believe, a lot faster than we currently do.
Yeah,
so he's going to be great for performance and security.
I'm smiling because you two together are probably like a powerhouse with all your knowledge of technology.
Yeah, he's also like a great personal friend of mine. I've known him, since 2016 when I started researching under him, and he's a great personal individual. He's very relatable. He's very articulate, and he's also like extremely intelligent, and especially in this specific field of research, which is exactly what we need for Fantom at this time.
Now there are a lot of blockchains out there. In fact, there's some criticism, there are too many, it's confusing. I mean, how are you different than some of the current blockchains that are existing?
Yeah, that's a question that we often get asked. And so like, we're different in like many different ways when it comes to like the technology. So like, I think a very important point about our technology that's really important to note is that it's like very reliable, and it's provably reliable, just like empirically. So like, for more than a year now, the network has never gone offline. It's always stayed online. It's never had a single like millisecond of downtime, and I think that's very important for smart contract developers and for people launching applications, that they know that the network is reliable, that it doesn't turn off, that it basically never goes offline. And so we're kind of like proven empirically that the network is very stable and it operates well. I mean, on top of that, the other advantages are that we can provably process multiple transactions at the same time, as I mentioned before. And so you get like much greater levels of input while maintaining transaction fees very, very low. And our transaction fees are even lower than like the other L1s out there. Like you can perform quite a complicated smart contract execution on Fantom, and you're paying maybe like a few cents, right? Or if you're just doing a more simpler transaction, right now you can go to the Fantom network and you can see that you're paying maybe 0.2 or 0.3 of a cent for a single transaction. On Ethereum, in contrast, you may be paying like $5. So it's those like technology points that I think really differentiate us. And on top of that, we're focusing on solving technology problems that I don't think the other chains are. In particular, how you execute smart contracts. So there's a whole software layer, as I mentioned before, on executing smart contracts. In order, but that technology stack is very, very slow. It slows down the speed of your network by, from our empirical analysis, of about 90 to 95%. So if you can fix that 90 to 99%, 90 to 95% like performance issue, and you can execute smart contracts a lot faster, then you get way more performance than you currently get on our network, and also on other networks as well, that if they adopted the same technology.
So finally, what kind of applications do you see being built on the Fantom network?
So right now, like the two primary use cases of blockchain technology is related to decentralized finance, or DeFi, and NFTs, or what we call like game finance, or metaverse technology. And there's been a lot of talk more recently, in particular, about like metaverse technology because of like what Facebook and like what many other companies are doing. But I think those two use cases are real use cases. I think they will continue to exist. I think that you'll see a lot of innovation in those spaces. But I think there are other use cases out there that don't really get as much publicity that I think they really should, and I think are going to like really explode in usage, just like DeFi and NFTs have. And one of the ideas is to do with like P2P insurance. And so that allows you to taking advantage of blockchain technology, you can solve a lot of inefficiencies in insurance in terms of claimings, in terms of how you do the analysis of insurance products, in terms of like, removing like all the extra costs of having like a third party or the big insurance company. And on top of that, there's going to be a lot of like use cases around supply chain management as well. So we're already starting to see that with some like luxury brands and companies, use blockchain technology in order to prove like how supply chain has worked over time. And I think that use case is just going to get become more and more prominent, because it's a very powerful use case that basically every a company can use that has a supply chain.
Okay, fascinating stuff. Thank you so much, Michael.
Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Thank you.